Hey and welcome, I'm Hammy, and with Marvel Rivals' new season, we're diving into the world and lore of Krakoa, as Emma Frost's Hellfire Gala brings humans and mutants alike for the event of the year to the sentient island. It's been a villain, a friend, and eventually the homeland of all mutant kind in the world of Marvel and the X-Men. If you're new to Marvel Rivals and new to Marvel and have no idea about Krakoa, there's a lot of history and a lot of comics, a lot of storylines, but here are some highlights. Time codes are in the description if you want to skip around. Krakoa made its debut in giant-sized X-Men way back in 1975. The original X-Men were captured by a mutant signal on a strange island, which turned out to be the island itself. A living sentient being, Krakoa fed on mutant energy. To stop it, the newly assembled X-Men, Wolverine, Storm, Colossus, Nightcrawler and more worked together to literally rip Krakoa from the Earth and fling it into space. This dramatic launch ended its first attack, but Krakoa would return. Now, years later, Marvel retconned this tale in Deadly Genesis, before sending Wolverine's team. Xavier had secretly dispatched a young squad, including Vulcan, Cyclops' unknown brother. Krakoa killed or absorbed most of them, and Xavier erased the memory from Cyclops' mind. Then came Krakoa's offspring, Spores that grew into twisted versions like Vega Superior, who battled Nightcrawler in Excalibur, and the strange mini Krakoas seen under the Jean Grey School in Wolverine and the X-Men. In a surprising twist, the X-Men eventually befriended Krakoa, with Kid Omega psychically convincing it to help the school rather than attack it. Krakoa even joined the staff as groundskeeper. Fast forward to 2019 and Krakoa's biggest evolution came in House of X by Jonathan Hickman. Mutants led by Professor X, Magneto and Moira McTaggart established Krakoa as a sovereign mutant nation. Using flowers of Krakoa, they created teleportation portals around the world. In exchange for life-saving medicines, mutants demanded global recognition of Krakoa and amnesty for all mutants. The island wasn't just alive, it was sacred, and it had a history. Once part of a larger island called Okara, Krakoa had been split from its twin Arakko by a demonic invasion. Apocalypse and his original horsemen sealed the breach, sending Arakko into another dimension. Cypher, mutant linguist, became Krakoa's official translator, forming a bond with the island that let it grow cities, gates, and sanctuaries. For the first time, mutants weren't just surviving, they were actually thriving on Krakoa. Former enemies lived side by side, resurrection protocols brought back any mutant who died, and mutants even had laws. Make more mutants, murder no man, respect this sacred land. Comics in the Dawn of X era explored culture, religion, and politics on Krakoa. Storm, Nightcrawler, Wolverine, and others played key roles in shaping society. Krakoa even sprouted Mars habitats, and eventually the entire island of Arakko returned to Earth. But instead of merging back together, Krakoa and Arakko decided they'd grown apart. The dream of Okara reunited would stay a dream for now. In the X of Swords event, Apocalypse sought to reunite with his wife Genesis and his lost horsemen. A tournament was held between champions of Krakoa and Arakko. The result? Not just swords and duels, but a heartbreaking sacrifice. Apocalypse allowed himself to be defeated and stayed in the Hell Dimension so that Arakko and its people could return. In the events of Inferno, the carefully controlled society cracked. Mystique resurrected her wife Destiny, despite Xavier and Magneto's wishes. She and Destiny exposed Moira's secret. She was a mutant with multiple lives, hiding her knowledge of mutant doom. The Quiet Council at the time fractured, Moira was exiled, Magneto stepped down, and the dream began to unravel. For several years in a row, Emma Frost's Hellfire Gala had been both a storyline and an arc that brought together mutant kind and humankind, with many dramatic events unfurling at each Hellfire Gala. At one fateful Hellfire Gala, Orchis, an anti-mutant organisation, struck hard. Manipulating medicines that the mutants had created on Krakoa, they unleashed Stark Sentinels and forced Professor X into an impossible choice. To save humanity, Charles ordered a mass psychic evacuation through the Krakoan gates, only for those gates to have been rigged by Orchis. Millions of mutants vanished into stasis. After the attack by the Sentinels, Krakoa, the living island, stood nearly empty. With Orchis declaring victory, Krakoa, once a paradise, became a ghost of its former self. Professor X remained alone, seated in silence amongst the carnage, The quiet Council of Krakoa disbanded, and mutant kind went underground once again. Marvel Rivals' Krakoa has 3 separate areas that we explore as part of the Hellfire Gala map. They are the Cradle, the Carousel, and the Grove. The Cradle in particular is one of the most important and sacred areas on Krakoa because it's the heart of mutant resurrection. A group of mutants called the Five work in unison to bring back any deceased mutant with their memories and powers fully intact. The Five are Fabio Medina, or Gold Balls, who creates viable eggs; Proteus, who warps reality to makes the eggs viable; Elixir, who kickstarts cellular life in the egg; Tempus, who rapidly ages the new body to its appropriate age; and Hope Summers, who synchronizes the process so it all works together. Mutants are no longer permanently dead because of these resurrection protocols and the process in the Cradle. Only key personnel are allowed inside. It's protected as a strategic and symbolic centre of the mutant nation. Now, one thing that you see in the Marvel Rivals map too is a Cerebro interface. Professor X regularly backs up every mutant mind to Cerebro, stored in many redundant units. One of these is usually located near the Cradle to download consciousness into a newly resurrected body, and it is this that Ultron is coming after in the story of Marvel Rivals. One of the other areas on the Hellfire Gala Krakoa map in Marvel Rivals is the Grove. Now, in the comics and in X-Men lore, this is a secluded natural space deep within Krakoa, surrounded by bioluminescent plants, organic trees and glowing flowers, a very sacred garden, and has a lot of symbolism, particularly in the resurrection protocols. Many mutants are reborn within or near the Grove, emerging from golden eggs created by the Five. It's where the mutant community welcomes them back, often with celebration and solemnity. In one run of X-Men, an event called the Crucible is also held here, a ritual in which depowered mutants fight to the death to be worthy of resurrection and regain their powers. It's where Apocalypse, in some stories, duels depowered mutants, and where Nightcrawler begins to question mutant spirituality. The Grove is Krakoa's spiritual heart, a place where mutants live beyond death, not unlike religious ideas of rebirth or paradise. Indeed, Nightcrawler questions these kind of things and almost creates mutant religion when resurrection is no longer final. Finally, we have the Carousel, a central gathering place on Krakoa featured pretty prominently in House of X, a biologically grown amphitheatre made of trees, intertwined roots, and organic Krakoan structures. National announcements, ceremonies and trials, council decisions, and celebrations of mutant resurrection are held here, making it one of the most iconic places in Krakoa. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you like this video, throw a like, subscribe, let me know what you think in the comments below. I appreciate it's been a lot of Marvel Rivals recently. If you enjoy interactions, voice lines, a bit more on the Marvel Rivals lore as well, check out my playlists here. And for all you Overwatch fans, or if you'd like to see my other lore work, plenty of playlists here with lore, story, and exploration of world building from other games too. Cheers for tuning in. I've been Hammy. Take it easy.